Hello and welcome to News Round, where we recap stories that made headlines during the week. I'm Olumide Macaulay. The headlines. President Bola Tinubu urges citizens to hold on to hope as Nigeria celebrates 65 years of independence. Former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan says Chibok schoolgirls kidnapping is a lifelong scar. Joins voices calling for a fresh strategy against insurgency. Leaders and thinkers gather in Lagos to chart a bold course for national renewal. And U.S. President Donald Trump gives deadline on agreement for Gaza ceasefire. That's News Round in View. Thanks again for joining us. President Bola Tinubu is saying that the worst is over in Nigeria and the country's economy has finally turned the corner. He stated this in his October 1st address to the nation, which he tagged a message of hope and a call to action.
In his nationwide broadcast, the president highlighted economic reforms, including fuel subsidy removal, forex unification, and fiscal discipline as catalysts of growth.
I'm pleased to report that we have finally turned the corner. The worst is over, I say. Under our leadership, our economy is recovering fast, and the reforms we started over 2 years ago are delivering tangible results. In resetting our country for sustainable growth, we ended the corrupt fuel subsidy and multiple foreign exchange rates that created massive incentive for a rentier economy. We have a stronger foreign reserve position today than 3 years ago. Our external reserves increased to 42.03 billion this September, the highest since 2019.
President Tinubu praised the military for their sacrifices, noting progress in the fight against terrorism and banditry.
On security, we are working diligently to enhance national security, ensuring our economic experiences improved growth and performance. Peace has returned to 100 of our liberated communities in the Northwest and Northeast, and thousands of our people have returned safely to their homes.
The president also outlined his government's investment in nationwide infrastructure from highways to rail lines.
The administration is expanding transport infrastructure across the country, covering rail, road, airports, seaports. Rail and water transport grew by over 40% and 27% respectively.
Turning to young Nigerians, President Tinubu pledged continued support through credit schemes, loans, and creative sector programs.
I have a message for you, you young people. You are the future and the greatest asset of this blessed country. You must continue to dream big, innovate, and conquer more territories in your various fields of science, technology, sport, and arts and creative sector. Our administration, through policies and funding, will continue to give you wings to fly sky high. We created Nile Fund to support students with loans for their educational pursuits.
President Tinubu ended with a message of hope, urging Nigerians to embrace productivity and unity as the country charts a new course.
This is a message of hope, fellow Nigerians. I've always candidly acknowledged that this reform have come with some temporary pains. The biting effects of inflation and the rising cost of living remains a significant concern to our government. However, the alternative of allowing our country to descend into economic chaos or bankruptcy was not an option. Our macroeconomic progress has proven that our sacrifices have not been in vain. Together, we are laying a new foundation cast in concrete, not on quicksand. Finally, let all hands be on deck. Let us believe once more in the boundless potential of our great nation. With Almighty God on our side, I can assure you that the dawn of a new, prosperous, self-reliant is here in Nigeria.
And there's more on Nigeria's 65th Independence Day celebration. This time, the convener of the platform Nigeria, Pastor Kojo Yemade, welcomed again policy experts and citizens from across the country. With the theme, Rebuilding Our Nation, this edition fueled insightful conversation on reshaping, strengthening, and charting a path forward for Nigeria.
Nigeria may be blessed.
As Nigeria marks its 65th Independence Day, Pastor of the Covenant Nation, Kojo Yemade, once again opens the doors of the platform Nigeria, bringing together policy experts, thought leaders, and citizens for a day of national reflection. Under this year's theme, Rebuilding Our Nation, the forum sparks dynamic conversations aimed at reshaping Nigeria's future, strengthening institutions and charting a clear path towards sustainable progress.
The platform serves as a prophetic function of preservation for Nigeria, bridging communities with business, government, youth by democratizing entrepreneurial knowledge, fostering political awareness, and dissecting policies in real time to deepen democratic culture. Welcome to Platform October 1st. Right. God bless you all.
Former Green Eagles captain Segun Odegbami explores the intersection of sports and global geopolitics, highlighting how athletics can influence diplomacy and national pride.
Sports runs on strict rules and regulations, and that politics run on lies and confusion. There's a thin line of a difference between politics and geopolitics. The world is in crisis. The world needs healing. But do you observe also that in the middle of all these senseless global conflicts, the scramble for minerals and ruthless carnage all over the place, warring countries are still participating in international sports, competing against one another and fighting to win trophies and medals.
Other speakers include Chief Executive Officer of the One Campaign, Ndidi Wuneli, who delivers an inspiring call for Nigerians, especially youths, to become narrative changers who drive global trends that shape the country's story.
Must become narrative changers. And to do this, you have to change your mindset. So tell your neighbor, change your mindset. Things are tough, but where there are challenges, there are opportunities. Just like we see people fleeing our country, there are people flying into our country because they see opportunities that we have left on the table. So how do you change your narratives? How do you change your mindset? First, you reflect on the power of your words and your thoughts. What is the root cause of those words and thoughts? Where did Nigeria hurt you? Acknowledge the failings of the country. They are failings. I'm not going to lie about them. But balance them with the realities of our time.
Meanwhile, founder of Alda Consulting, Leke Alda, examines the anatomy of the nation, breaking down the critical steps necessary to secure Nigeria's stability and ensure future growth.
There's no justice in the land. Rule of law must replace law of rule. The country must be strong on policing. especially crimes that batter the image of the nation and deprive the masses of welfare. Needless to say, there's a need for police reform. I'm not talking about change of police uniform. There's a need for a strategic revamp of the image of the country. A passport ought to enhance its citizens, not subtract from them and international borders. You can't build a nation without values. It is a contradiction in terms. There's a need to revamp the educational curriculum in schools in response to present challenges.
Year after year, the platform Nigeria stands as a beacon for critical discourse, a space where ideas flourish, dreams for a stronger nation are nurtured, and youths are empowered to lead.
Which should not stop.
The federal government is urging the military to defeat all insurgent groups in the country, especially in the northeast region. Minister of Defense, Mr. Mohammed Badru, made the call when he represented President Bola Tinubu at the book launch of the former Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabor, in Abuja.
Retired Colonel Bako, who is here.
It's a gathering of eminent personalities from all walks of life to celebrate the former Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabor, at his book launch.
The welcome address so we can get this activity.
The book, titled Scars, Nigeria's Journey and the Boko Haram Conundrum, has in attendance former presidents, military chiefs, traditional rulers, and ministers.
So that when she enters the court,
the author of the book considers it as his contribution to the fight against insurgency and the multifaceted security challenges confronting the country. The Minister of Defense is representing President Bola Tinubu at the event and is confident that the Nigerian military can defeat insurgency.
Under the renewed hope agenda, we are determined to transform Nigeria into a nation of peace, opportunity, and unity. Security is at the heart of this vision. We are modernizing our armed forces with modern platforms and relevant technology. We are also streamlining intelligence gathering capability and deepening regional partnership to boost collective security.
However, the chairman and the chief host of the occasion posed some questions on the Boko Haram impasse.
I went to Maiduguri to try and find out. After Boko Haram has attacked the UN office here in Abuja, is that Boko Haram? What was it? Who were there? What are the objectives? What do they want?
The weapons they use, the ammunition they use, sometimes they even have more ammunition than our soldiers. So it doesn't show that they're hungry people. And where are these guns, sophisticated weapons coming from? And we begin to see that the external hands are also involved. And the title of the book is quite interesting. Scars and the Boko Haram Conundrum. It is interesting because, when I was in office, and one of the major scars on my government, and it would be on my face, and like Bishop Cook has said, no plastic or cosmetic surgeon can remove it, is the issue of the Chibok girls. It's a scar that I will die with. But later on, people may know a little more details. And that's also to do with the Boko Haram. What do they really want?
In their Google messages, some of the dignitaries give their insights into the Boko Haram insurgency.
Obviously, you cannot legislate love and you cannot enforce affection. It is something that has to come from within the soul. If other countries have been able to do that, and Rwanda is a perfect example.
Islamism is not aimed at seizing power at any particular forum. Islam is after good governance in society, and whoever is there.
Boko Haram can be defeated. It is a whole of society approach to the solution. It's not a one-off thing. Like I said, it must be deliberate. Where we got to where we are today, when it started, it should have been nipped in the bud. Asymmetric warfare is a different kind of warfare to conventional kind of warfare. Conventional, you are dealing with states. Asymmetric warfare, the enemy is within.
The book reviewer has some advice for Nigeria's leaders.
Is there a war room in the villa? Because there ought to be a war room where senior military officers, intelligence officers are sitting and thinking, what might tomorrow look like? The Nigerian military must be inspired by this book to also create a sense of urgency about returning to the barracks so that their honor, their integrity, their professionalism can be guaranteed.
The author, who turns 60 on October 5, is overwhelmed by the show of support.
I have always believed that man exists to solve problems. If you are not solving any problem, then your existence is worthless. Therefore, let us remember the victims of Boko Haram's atrocities. And let us also note that scars, the journey, Nigeria's journey and Boko Haram conundrum is not an indictment.
Nigeria's journey and the Boko Haram conundrum.
At this book launch, questions have been asked, experiences have been shared, perspectives have been given. But one thing that is in common with all the speakers is that Nigerians have to come together to deal with the scourge of Boko Haram and insecurity. Daily Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
Thank you. When Newsround returns, President Bola Tinubu unveils the renovated National Theatre, which in 2024 was renamed Wole Soyinka Theatre of Culture and Creative Arts. Please stay with us. Welcome back. President Bola Tinubu has unveiled the renovated National Theatre, which back in 2024 was renamed Wole Soyinka Theatre of Culture and Creative Arts. Now, the restoration, which was led the Bankers Committee in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Arts and Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy and the Lagos State Government, has been applauded by the President as the beginning of more active days for the creative economy with empowerment for the youth.
The National Theatre, renamed the Wole Soyinka Center for Culture and Creative Arts, wears a new look, very different from what it looked like pre-July 2020, when the federal government handed it over to the private sector for a complete revamp and modernization, following years of facility deterioration and non-maintenance. Leading the partnership with Lagos State Government and the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy is the Bankers Committee, with a financial contribution of 68 billion naira to effect the needed repairs. President Bola Tinubu believes it's a worthwhile project and arrives with other government officials for the reopening.
Thank you very much.
The guests are given a taste of what the facility will be used for. The man after whom the facility has been renamed, Professor Wole Soyinka, says that it is with reluctance that he accepted the proposal and is glad that he did.
I would be guilty of saying that other people do not merit this kind of monumental dedication. I think I have to stand up in public, watch my name being put up, and yet another appropriation. This is very well for me.
And then the contributors to the renovation share their motivation.
Lagos State is proud to have been a key stakeholder and a partner in this project. And we have demonstrated this in every concrete way. First, we ensure that the Blue Line metro, which had dedicated stop here at the complex. Then the restoration began. We contributed a sizable portion of additional land to enable the development of a world-class creative hub around this theatre.
We are building the enabling framework that will empower every single youth inside and outside Nigeria and attract investment and project Nigeria's creativity to the world. And also Independence Day to the great people of our great nation, a very great, dynamic, vivacious, culturally creative people of Nigeria.
Leading the Bankers Committee, the Central Bank Governor expresses their pride in the modernized facility.
The Wole Center is more than a renovation. It is a rebirth. The iconic silhouette has been preserved while delivering world-class performance halls, cinema spaces, exhibition galleries, an African literature library, rehearsal rooms, media and medical facilities, and fully modernized infrastructure.
For the president, the day was long anticipated and a perfect way to celebrate Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary.
These have broken the monotony of military marching past, parade, and everything. By starting this program, I was able to have a good sleep. Have a nice breakfast and wait for this evening. And today is the evening well spent.
President Bola Tinubu ended his speech by asking the CBN governor to create an endowment fund, which he has promised to contribute to. He believes that with this endowment fund, more youth and more activities can be attracted to the Wole Soyinka Center. Ini John Mekwa reporting for Channels Television News.
The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, led by its president, Festus Osifo, met the management of Dangote Petroleum Refinery at the Ministry of Labour and Employment in Abuja for reconciliation talks brokered by the federal government. After the talks, Mr. Osifo announced the suspension of the strike at a news conference, noting that while there were still grey areas in the resolution they reached, the union acted in good faith.
President of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association, Pengasin, Mr. Festus Osifo, is leading members of his association to this reconciliation meeting, which is at the instance of the Minister of Labour and Employment.
A very pleasant afternoon.
This meeting is essentially to resolve the impasse between members of Pengasin and the management of Dangote Refinery, which has led to a nationwide strike. The meeting is attended by the Minister of State for Labour and Employment, the Minister of Finance, the leadership of Pengasin, and representatives of the Dangote Refinery. After a brief opening remark by the Labour Minister, the meeting went into closed doors. Earlier in the day, members of Pengasin had enforced a strike action in the various oil and gas institutions in Abuja, including the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited.
The NMGPRA, which is also one of the agencies in the oil and gas industry, is 100% compliance to the national directive. We are here to also give them solidarity and also to ensure that they sustain the ties. And as you can see, everybody is in high spirits, hoping that this issue will be resolved as soon as possible, because injury to one is injury to all, and that has always been our slogan. And so we maintain to say that we are all united in a common struggle, and that struggle is to ensure that the Nigerian workers are better off.
That enforcement ignited panic buying of petrol, leading to long queues at some fuel stations. Back at the meeting venue, after about 9 hours of deliberations, the meeting is still mated as parties agree to reconvene on Tuesday, September 30.
This meeting we have not yet concluded. There are issues that we are still addressing, and we have agreed to reconvene tomorrow in the afternoon. Today? Okay, today, Tuesday, yes. Today is Tuesday. So we are reconvening later today in the afternoon to continue with the meeting.
We have 800 people plus that are at home. These people, they are fathers, they are mothers, their career is at stake. When you terminate people the way you've terminated them, it will be extremely difficult for them to find job anywhere. Some of these people are trainees, and you said they have committed sabotage. So if they go home like that, there is no other company they will get job to do again in Nigeria because they have seen them as saboteurs. So these are careers that will be damaged if proper remedy is not put in place. So that is why for us, our position has been very clear. You have to reinstate these people. If you reinstate them tonight, we will call off our action tonight. But unfortunately, that reinstatement did not happen, and we were not able to reach conclusions on the subject.
Finance Minister Wale Edun noted government's concern, emphasizing that though the dispute is with a private entity, its economic implication remains national.
We need to limit the damage to the economy of this action. We need to wrap it up, we need to resolve it, and we need to have workers going back to work. We need to have the gas flowing. We need to have crude flowing as inputs into production, which is where the economy is arrived at right now, where we are able to add value, where we are able to grow the economy, and we don't want that momentum to be broken. And that's why you see us here for 9 hours trying to resolve just one knotty issue, as the Honourable Minister for Labour and Employment has said. And we are optimistic that by tomorrow we will break the deadlock, we will resolve the stalemate, and we will put this issue behind us.
As the meeting continues today, Nigerians who are always at the receiving end of such contentions between employers and the unions hope that a solution will be preferred on time to the impasse to enable smooth economic activities.
Close. News round ends with the U.S. President Donald Trump asking the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas to accept a peace plan he developed with the Israeli Prime Minister by Sunday, or as he said, all hell will break loose. Writing on his Truth Social platform earlier today, President Trump said an agreement must be reached by 6 p.m. Washington time on Sunday. The plan proposes an immediate end to fighting and the release within 72 hours of the living Israeli hostages held by Hamas, as well as the remains of the hostages thought to be deceased, in exchange for hundreds of detained Gazans. Arab and Turkish mediators are understood to be pressing Hamas for a response, a positive one for the proposal. But a senior Hamas figure says the armed group is likely to reject it, although more recent reports have it that Hamas and Israel is likely to accept the deal. And that's it on News Round, where we brought you a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Olumide McCall.